that, and we should be good. Cool. All right, so what I'm looking at today, guys, is some of the things that our parents have talked about this week. Some of the parents that have their kids train with us. Talking about some of the top parenting hacks that they might have, or some of the top tips to sort of develop boundaries, discipline, those sorts of things for their kids. Now, the top things that came through as the keys to parenting, not so much hacks, but you could look at them like that, I guess. But the first one is honesty with the kids. And I think that's important in anything, and sometimes it's really, really difficult. In my opinion, the most important place to start with that is with yourself. You have to be brutally honest with yourself about what are you doing with your own boundaries for yourself? What are you doing with your own discipline? What are you doing, how are you sort of being that example for the kids to follow? I think that's incredibly important. And if you can have that brutal honesty with yourself and catch yourself when you screw up, because you will, everyone does, we all do, then the kids see that example and they'll then feel like it's more okay for them to be honest as well. And I think that's a good thing. Really good example. The more honest you can be with the kids, the more trust you're going to have, and that is going to make things so much easier later on in their life, when they're screwing up, when they're making mistakes, when they're not listening, when they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. And rather than trying to hide everything from you because they trust you, because you built this foundation of honesty, which takes time and effort, and it's definitely not always comfortable, but it's incredibly, incredibly important. It will make those situations a lot easier to handle. And I grew up in a family where my old man was quite religious, quite devout to those sorts of things. And we were always scared, to be honest, because we were going to go to hell or be damned, or it was a bit nuts. So we'd often try and hide things from Dad rather than share them. And there were times where he could have really helped, and it could have been really beneficial to be able to have an honest conversation. But because none of us felt safe enough, we didn't do it, which made his job as a parent a hell of a lot harder. So I think honesty as a hack has enormous long-term benefits, and I strongly encourage that. Boundaries are huge. Everyone agreed that boundaries are important. No one was super clear on how they implement them. And I think this will tie in with discipline. And again, I think leading by example is always the best way to go. Boundaries around, I don't know, could be anything. Could be boundaries around food, could be boundaries around language, could be boundaries around bedtime, could be boundaries around going over to friends' houses, having sleepovers, like tons of different things. But whatever it is, it just has to be really clear, not only to the child, but to you as well. Because the clearer that is, the better that's going to be for them and for you. They know where the guidelines are. If kids have no boundaries, believe me, they're insane. Like, they're absolutely crazy. And after teaching thousands of kids, the hardest ones to teach, initially anyways, it doesn't actually take that long to change, which is really cool. The hardest ones to teach are always the ones that clearly don't have clear boundaries. It hasn't been implemented in whatever the sort of form is. And coming to a martial arts class or a self-defense class, you have to have clear boundaries in that class, because discipline's part of the job. Discipline's part of what we do. So, how do you implement that? Look, it's been firm, it's been strong, but it's been loving and kind at the same time. Finding that balance is a little bit difficult, granted, but incredibly important. And if it's all right, cool. If you, like, simple rule, if you don't eat your vegetables, you don't get dessert. You cannot bend on that rule. The best thing for boundaries is for the children to know that when you say something, you mean it. So when you say something like, I'm going to take this game away from you because they're annoying you, and you don't do it, even if you make the threat out of anger and it was a mistake, the worst thing you can actually do is not take the game. You actually have to take it. And then you talk about what's happened. You say, look, maybe I overreacted. How can we both be better next time? It becomes a learning experience for both of you, but you've still held true to your word, which creates a clear boundary. It lets them know that what you say goes. And that builds into building trust and through honesty. Really, yeah, you could look at it as being honest. I'm going to take this away from you, and then you don't. That's a lie. Even if it was a silly decision, you still have to do it and then correct it later. But make sure they can still trust your word. Very, very important. And that makes boundaries a hell of a lot easier to set. If you're very wishy-washy on things that you say to your kids and you're not clear and you're not fixed on what you're talking about and you're not consistent, the boundaries for them are not consistent. They get confused. They don't know what's going on. It's very important to have that consistency for the kids. Also for you, but definitely for the kids. Third, confidence. Building confidence in kids as a hack. Now, no concrete ways to do this. For mine, getting them to do new things. The easiest thing is get them in half decent physical shape. So if your child's fat, overweight, obese, any of those things, get them moving, get them fit, get them strong, get them lean. Great way to do it is my fitness program, which may be in the links. If not, go to my profiles, you'll be able to find it there. We've got a free week available for the kids. But having a good, strong body, healthy body, is enormous for a child's confidence. You're going to see massive reduction in things when it comes to bullying, but also them being able to feel like they can stand up for themselves. Teaching some basic self-defense things, I believe, are brilliant for confidence. Getting your child out of their comfort zone, doing new things will breed confidence. I used to do these camps, and I will be doing them in the future, for like 3 days. The pure focus was to develop enormous amounts of confidence in a child in a very, very short space of time. And to do that, they had to get very, very uncomfortable a lot of the time. That's part of building confidence. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to push beyond your comfort zone, because then, in doing that, you realize that you're capable of more. The worst thing to do for confidence is not have your child do anything new, anything different, or anything. Because they don't believe they're capable of doing anything if they don't actually do it. So you push them to do things. Some of the great ones could be high ropes courses. Absolutely brilliant. Rock climbing. Brilliant. Brilliant. Self-defense training, martial arts training, like I said. And you can do that with me virtually from literally anywhere. And the programs are brilliant, designed with this in mind. And they will build that, as well as teach the kids practical skills how to do it. Or go to someone in person, find a good instructor. Could be new, different things like horse riding. I think working with animals is brilliant. Learning how to handle dogs, train dogs. Brilliant little skill. Different things like that that are going to make them a little bit uncomfortable, not so that they're unsafe and in danger or anything like that, but so that they can have those new experiences and realize that they are actually capable of more than what they thought previously. Very important. Okay. And then the last one was a bit of a laugh. Coffee. So if you need a bit of a boost and a pick-me-up, apparently coffee is a great way to go. Now, I actually disagree with this because I don't drink coffee. And most people drink way too much, and it actually reduces blood flow to your brain. So when you're stressed and you're struggling, it's harder to think clearly and make good decisions because you've got less blood going to your brain because of the caffeine. So, I'm not a proponent of coffee, and I don't drink it. On occasion I have, and I drink it black. If I do, I definitely don't put any sugar in it. But I think more to the point, more than the coffee, it's actually being able to take a step back yourself, reset yourself emotionally, so that when you come back to high stress situations, to attempt to handle emotionally crazy children, or children that are lying or stealing or being bullied or bullying or whatever it is, if you go in and you're emotionally exhausted, you're probably not going to handle that situation very well. So if you can take time out, and maybe it is sitting, having a coffee, just taking a few deep breaths, meditation, yoga, whatever it is, but helping yourself reset emotionally so that you can handle those situations more effectively, insanely important. However you do that for you, ideally in a way that is constructive, right? For your health, for your well-being, for the long-term effects for the kids as well. Cool. Right, leave it there. If you've got any questions, comments, things that you are unsure of, chuck them in. Other questions you want answered. 3 screens. We're going to close it off now. See how we go. 1, 2.